Welcome back to Japan, where I am about as near to giddy with excitement as you can be over a song, because this is only the third song I've heard by this band, which is a WAGAKKI band. WAGAKKI, how you pronounce that properly? I haven't actually heard anyone say it, but I'm going to have to check it out. Anyway, the first song I heard, like I said, was just fantastic, really blew me away. Senbon Sakura, basically 1,000 cherry trees. It just really blew me away, that song, and I just loved the fact it had a combination of the traditional Japanese instruments that I love being played so well and presented so perfectly, along with a sort of hard rock ethos, which I grew up around and loved all the time anyway. So it was like a combination of fusing of two things I really loved, and two things that I've always secretly believed, well, not even so secretly actually, I've said this quite openly, and I've tried to, I myself playing these instruments, tried to do mixtures like this. I do believe that traditional Japanese instruments go fantastically well with rock music, because they just have a sharp, dynamic sound. They're very full, but they're also very punchy and very quick and easy to have quick moving melodies on. So, this was fantastically proved by WAGAKKI Band, better than I could have done, I'm sure. And I heard two songs. The first one I heard, like I say, fell in love with. Then I asked guys, can you show me some variations? Do they do something a bit slower? Can you show me them doing something a bit more powerful and moody? And then it was a Strong Fate, I think I've heard second, which I didn't like quite as much, but that's just, comparing to something which was virtually infallible in my opinion, that still left it as a safe 9 out of 10, 8 at worst. And then I just got hit with more response after that saying, they got more variation than you still have heard. So anyway, here's one which got early mentions quite on, and it's been mentioned a few times, which is Synchronicity. I can't wait to hear it. I'm going to dive in. I've been told this is something different again. Even one of my friends, someone who I know who also does music stuff, I said to him about this, and he was like, yeah, Synchronicity. Check that out. And check it out I will. Here we go. Is it jazz? Alright, jazz fusion. Oh, he sings as well. It's really charming. Just as a sort of a boy, I know it's not like jazz, but as a sort of jazz themed plus rock themed plus traditional Japanese themed fusion, it's working again. It's really good. It's so charming. That's the thing with it. It's hard to imagine any of the bands like this, especially, I think I've mentioned that I'm not a big fan of the sort of visual K thing that they seem to be going for. I've been told they've kind of grown out of that a bit. But you just don't expect something this charming and mature and fun at the same time. Are they really writing all of this? Are they really writing this all themselves? I mean, look, okay, first of all, let's just break it down on a professional level and just, let's be realistic about this first of all, because obviously I'm loving this. That I avoided saying I'm loving it. Oh, I just said fuck. But I really love what I'm hearing. But just to break it down on a professional level, I am aware that, for example, if we're comparing that to jazz, it wasn't really jazz. It was kind of a pseudo-fake jazz, and a lot of that can be faked. And just having the right sounds, just changing a sound a little bit doesn't really account properly for variation. I know we could pick holes in this, but let's just talk about whether it works. And does it work? Well, it achieves exactly what I personally like from jazz. I mean, the two types of jazz that I probably like most, or I do like, strangely enough, some of you will find this quite bizarre considering my comments about guitar solos before, I kind of like the twiddly sort of trad jazz, the Wynton Marsalis, Miles Davis type of thing. I like a bit of that where you've got because that's really so trippy and so broken up that it's quite a feast for the brain, for the ears. It's something you can really dive into. But I also quite like the smooth jazz, all the way from the old sort of Louis Armstrong up to more, sort of more contemporary artists. Again, actually, you could probably put some Wynton Marsalis in that as well. Just some of the smoother things. And, that's kind of harking that way. It just works as a smooth jazz song. It's got a trippy thing. The drummer, they've got a rock drummer who clearly is mature enough to settle down and do a proper jazz beat and do it with respect and put in the effort. He's not parodying it. He's doing it well. The other musicians who are still sticking to the traditional instruments and, the guitars and doing basically the instruments they do for the rest of the songs, they're still managing to carry off a fantastic jazz song. It wasn't just a song in the style of jazz. And it just amazes me how well that's done. The singing as well. I didn't know that the guitarist, unless I've missed something and that's a guest appearance, I didn't know the guitarist also sang. It kind of, that was nice. That gave it an extra element. And you could tell this is kind of like, although I didn't really analyse the lyrics there, it would take me a bit longer than one listen anyway. My Japanese is not that great. I kind of got the feeling the song has a sort of a tone of it's a bit of a love song. It came across in the video. The video didn't seem to have much in the way of a clear narrative, but it was visually really nice and colourful. And it did a nice job of juxtaposing their image, their bright, colourful image, with the more sort of calmed down tones of that, I think you'd say 1920s, 1930s style American ballroom setting, hotel setting. There was a lot there that was going on that was really great. Like I say, the whole tone came across and everything was well presented, and the dual vocal thing worked fantastically well for them as well. And I'm willing to accept that there would be criticism. If you are a hardcore jazz fan, you'd probably find that maybe a little bit, maybe you wouldn't find that so imaginative. For someone who's a fan of traditional Japanese instruments, a hardcore fan, you might listen to that and say, well, that's kind of not the way the instruments are supposed to be used. If you're a hardcore rock fan and you like some of their rock songs, you might go, it's a bit weak. You could find ways of criticising anything, and the more something tries, the more it experiments with, the easier it is to criticise. And so, like I say, I could sit here and I could pick holes in it, but I've just got to be honest and say that, from my opinion, I don't think that song did anything wrong. I think it did a fantastic job, and I'd love not to be kissing up after this band all the way. I'd love to be meeting my expectations, my reputation of finding criticisms, but this is a fantastic band. That's a fantastic song. I really appreciate you guys suggesting it to me, and I think we're at the point now, I don't care, just give me anything by this band. Just tell me a song and go, Howard, listen to this. Alright, you can guess where I'm at with this now. I'm just enjoying this. So anyway, until next time, if you want to follow or do any of that internet stuff, subscribe and look, just either way, it'd be nice to see you again. But for now, ciao ciao.